You were married to your husband, but you were having children with other men.
I was, and he raised them as his own and knew them to be his own until the divorce. He ended up unhoused, and the first man that I had the affair with is now my boyfriend, the father of my first child, my son, and he was my husband's assistant manager. So he started bringing this guy around, and I made the first move, of course.
And as if this is not enough, watch this next video.
We've been together for over 50 years.
Wow, 50 years.
You know, one time I came home and I pulled in the front driveway and I saw this car down the street take off because somebody came out the back door.
It was the repairman. I told you the washing machine was broken.
The results reads as follow. First child, Mr. Willis, you are not the father.
That's what I figured.
No. Oh, that's good.
Mrs.
No,
Willis.
that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong.
Second child,
That's got to be. It's a mistake.
Mr. Willis, you are not the father.
You are reading someone else's file. This
So
can't be true.
I have a mailman and a plumber. Oh,
Child 3, Mr. Willis. I pray and I hope,
Please.
but you are not the father. Oh my God!
50 years in marriage. And this man just realized now that 3 of his children are not his children. If you're this man, how would you feel? Finding out 50 years later that the kids who you've sent to school, the kids who you have an emotional affinity for, the kids who you cared for, who you took as your own, who you've known to be your kids all your life, are not your children. And then you go down memory lane, and then you have memories of the man coming out of your house when your wife was still a young girl. Shit, how you gonna feel? How you gonna feel? Now the first video, you could see the woman boldly coming out and saying it, that she had an affair with her husband's worker, her husband's friend. Sadly, I'm sorry to break this to you. This is the reality of so many things going on. This is the reality. This is why I tell men to avoid all this heartbreak and to avoid all this confusion and avoid all this emotional trauma and doing something that you thought is the best thing you should do as your father, as a father to that child, and then realizing some years later that that kid is not your kid and having to go through all that. It's simple. Men, please, I'm begging you, try to always do a DNA test on your child once the child is born. Take it from me or leave it. All men listening to this now, I don't care if you're married already. I don't care if you're about to get married. I don't care if you have not yet thought of marriage. If you're married, take your kids ASAP. Go and get their DNA tested. Go for a DNA test. Go for a paternity test. Make sure that those kids are your kids before you can continue playing the role as a father. Before you can, this is to avoid things like this. And for men that are yet to be married or for men that are yet to have kids, please, please and please do a DNA test on your baby. In fact, once your wife is pregnant, I'm telling you this now, every single man listening to me right now, please do what I'm just saying now. Once your wife is pregnant and you're setting aside money for her maternity and having the baby, please set aside money for DNA testing. So as soon as she has that baby, that same day, instantly, take the saliva of the child, get a DNA test done on that baby. At that point, I mean, it is easier to know the paternity of your child at that point than to know it 50 years later, to know it 20 years later, to know 5, 10 years later when you have invested so much. And the emotional trauma and heartbreak is not going to be that much. Please do it. And I still keep saying this. I would be so happy. It gladdens my heart. It would gladden my heart if paternity test would actually be a jailable offense. I mean, I think women should go to jail, life imprisonment to be precise, for deceiving men, for lying to men that they are the father of kids that are not even theirs. And DNA test should be made mandatory, and DNA test should be made common. In fact, DNA test should be made as common as malaria test. It should be made affordable so every family can be able to afford DNA testing. It should be a mandatory thing in all families, in all homes. A lot of people would say, oh, we don't care. I mean, if you're not the father of the child, why can't you simply just raise the child like it's yours? I mean, a lot of people raise kids that are not theirs. They adopt, Adopting a kid and raising a kid that is not yours is better than raising a kid that you think is yours, but it's not yours in the end. The reality that you already know and realize that this child is not your child, but then you're doing it because you want to do it. It's different from the reality when you think that this child is actually your child and then it is not your child. It's painful. I feel so much for men. I care about men a lot. Men's mental health is as important to me as women's mental health. A large percentage of people who commit suicide are men. A large percentage of people who have mental health disorders and issues are men. Especially in this modern time and modern age, especially in this time and century. This is the reason why. Men, you need to love yourselves and take care of yourselves. And the only way to do it is to go for a DNA test. Make sure every single man hearing my voice now, and you've got 5, 6, 7 kids, save up money, go get all of your kids tested before you can continue your responsibilities as a father. It's going to help you. I am Aerissa Stormrage, and this is the Breaking Enigma Show.